Oftentimes what tends to happen, especially at the successful games companies, that sometimes these game developers who actually build the games, they sort of lose control. And the control like moves to the upper management and so forth. And then this idea kind of start to grow on me and sort of my fellow co-founders that what if you would found a completely new type of games company, and we would almost like flip the organizational chart upside down, meaning that instead of like the upper management and the leadership like owning the vision, that vision would be owned by the individual game teams. And we start to think these individual game teams as very kind of, that even led to the name of Supercell, because we start to call these startups or these teams cells, and then that led us to the name Supercell. But the whole idea was that let's give the power to the game developers and let's make them the superstars of the company. So basically when we founded Supercell, the vision was that we wanted to create these games that would be played by as many people as possible, but then also have this longevity. We were asking ourselves, what is the games platform that has the widest possible reach? It's 2010, and at that time it actually was Facebook. So we thought that okay, that's gonna be the platform of entry. And when we started to build our first game, it was this real-time MMO called Gunshine. We put that game to a soft launch and we actually got some pretty promising metrics, and then on back of those metrics we also went on and raised our Series A round of financing, and the purpose of that round of financing was actually to start to scale the game significantly through marketing and those type of things. Actually just a few months after we had literally raised the Series A, at this partly on this promise of this successful game, we decided to kill the game, kill Gunshine, and not only that, but we also decided that Facebook actually is not the right platform for the type of games we want to build. It wasn't the most pleasant call to make. I remember back in the day, like, telling somebody who has just invested, 8 million euros, this game isn't working out, and by the way, the platform strategy that we all believed in isn't working out either, and we're gonna throw everything that we built so far, down the toilet, and we're gonna focus on tablets and mobile. I think this is where like the best investors like really show up. It's easy to be supportive when things are going well, but the question is that what will they do when things aren't going well? And here that was an incredible sort of a moment, and just a testament how great these people were. Yeah, killing Gunshine and pivoting to a mobile. I do think it sort of shaped us a lot, like what we were to become as a company. It really shaped our culture in many different ways. So, of course, we learned like how valuable lessons you can learn from these failures. And I still remember fondly the lead of that game team who was telling me that, hey, in the afternoon I'm gonna just get the whole company together and I'm just gonna like share like what we learned through this failure. And I was thinking to myself that, wow, sounds like a very valuable meeting, but it's probably gonna be a bit sad. So what could I do to kind of cheer it up a little bit? And then I just had this idea that I'll just get a few bottles of champagne and I'll just give them to the team, and we can all have them together, and maybe that'll make it a bit more fun. And then I did exactly that. And then next time when they killed the game, did the same thing, and that tradition is still very much alive. The whole history of Supercell, like many of the best things we've learned have actually come through those failures, which has led to me think that are these failures even failures in the first place? I mean, should we even call them failures? Maybe we should just call them like experiments. And sometimes experiments are, or you have a hypothesis, and sometimes the hypothesis proves to be true, sometimes it proves to be false, but in either case you learn something new. And maybe that's how we should think about new games as well. So the decision to kill Gunshine and pivot from Facebook to mobile, why that it was a pivotal moment for Supercell, well, quite simply, without that decision, like Supercell wouldn't be the Supercell that we know today. And of course we got extremely lucky with the timing. It was a perfect time to do exactly that, because there still was like a lot of opportunity, a lot of space for like really high quality games, really high quality social games, and nobody was really like that focused on it at that time. Early 2012, I had a prototype of both Heyday and Clash of Clans in my tablet when I went to GDC that year, a game developers conference, and I met with some pretty senior people from our industry, and I was actually showing them Clash of Clans. Basically, the question that I got was that why would anybody play this game? They just didn't like understand the game, and they didn't think it was fun, and they couldn't see anybody playing the game. And then later on, like been reflecting on that, and maybe it was because it was such a different game, and from their perspective, it wasn't even a game. I was literally asked, why don't you guys build like real games? And who would play games on these devices anyway? I still remember when we launched Heyday to kind of beat our soft launch in Canada, and then the first metrics start to come in, and they were actually so good that for the first maybe few days we thought that there's something wrong with our analytics system, so these figures possibly can't be real. And then the exact same thing happened on Clash of Clans just a few months later, and it was a pretty sort of incredible few months, because I remember we were celebrating, we got to the 10,000 daily active users, and we bought some kind of cake, and everybody at the office had it, and just a few days even later, a week later, we got to like 50,000 daily active users, and then you again get a cake, and then you go to 100,000, and then you go to 500,000 daily active users, another cake. Million daily active users, and then 10 million, 30 million, 50 million, 70 million, 100 million. That's a lot of cake. and all of this actually happened like in a relatively like short period of time, with only basic, I guess, on the back of like Heyday, Clash of Clans, Boom Beach. So sometimes I still need to have to like pinch myself to like say that it wasn't a dream, or it actually did happen. I would say that it's never been this hard to launch successful new games, and it is like, obviously the competition is tough. There's like so many great games out there, and there's a lot of choice for the consumers, which is of course great. If you look at all of the playtime in the world, 60% of the playtime went to titles that are 6 years old or older than that. And it's sort of like a double-edged sword from Supercell perspective, because on one hand, we are lucky, because many of those old, quote-unquote old titles that people play happen to be from us. They play Heyday, they play Clash of Clans, they play Clash Royale. But the bad news also from Supercell point of view is that it's also harder for us to launch these new games, for those reasons. So the bar is very, very high, and I think the only way to kind of overcome that bar is just to be like even more bold, take more risk, build something that hasn't been built before, and all that, and that's definitely what we're trying to do. Well, like if I think about the future of Supercell, I almost need to go to the beginning and why we even founded the company. So our like very ambitious, bold dream was to build something that would basically like be remembered forever. Like our games should be remembered forever, and as should the company. And we have always looked up to companies like Nintendo or say Lego, for example. And obviously, take Nintendo, like they're more than 100 years old. We are 15 years old, so it's still very early on our journey. And we have a long way to get there, but I don't know. But that's what we want to do, and that gives us a sort of energy and passion every single day, and it's just very exciting to be on this path. But as I said, it's still very early days for Supercell, and feels that there's so much opportunity left and so many things that we can still do better.